And good morning, Hoosier Nation. Welcome to Groundhog's Edition, another very familiar edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Oregon. Very similar to the last one. Yesterday afternoon at the first game of the day in the BigTen Tournament, your Indiana Hoosiers would go on to lose almost nearly the exact same way as they did previously to Oregon in a 72-59 defeat, taking the final record of the season to 19-13. Still 10-10 on the Big Ten season. I guess you would count. Do you count that? I don't know what the official ruling is behind that. So if that does count, takes the Big Ten record to 10-11. And what a game to just kind of surmise the season. This one was. IU came out kind of on a good run and held that lead for most of the first half until a 10-0 run by Oregon to close out that first half up 8. Second half, IU came out with actually some good energy and made me feel good about it because that first half had some good energy to it, some good success. IU was able to lock down Biddle, their best player, and kind of get some offense going. But then suddenly, quickly, they were able to cut the lead. IU was able to cut the lead down to 2. And really, that was kind of the story of the second half. IU would cut it down to 2, and then Oregon would surge back up 8 or so. And then IU would cut it back down to 2. And they did that about 3 more times in this game until the end of the game. Oregon would go on a run at the end of the game to stretch it out to double digits, and that would be the end of it. Very much similar to what we saw in the previous game. Thank you for being here with me. I'm your host, Chad Schwartzkopf. Martha out on assignment, out working on the East Coast right now. Some would say he might be even searching for IU's next coach. Hopefully Martha can find a good one for us because it's time. It's definitely time. This game, what a tough one. It really feels like the Band-Aid game. It's just that it's time. Ripping off the Band-Aid. Is it done? Is it not? I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later as to IU's chances. Obviously, Sunday is a little bit more hairy now, but just really a poor offensive game in this one for IU. IU could not find any rhythm, partially due to Oregon and what they were able to do and disrupt for Indiana, but also just Indiana not finding any rhythm and anyone outside of Renew or Trey Galloway to do anything. It was really Trey's game, running those screens, getting downhill, and then deciding what he was going to do, whether he was going to pass it off to a big, get another assist, which he did stack up in this game, or whether he was going to score for himself. Not really much support outside of that. We'll get into that, though, too. There was some support, but I think coaches screwed that. But if you look at IU's offense in this game, 36% from the field, 25% from 3, 50% from the free throw. And the stat that, if you watch this show regularly, bugs the hell out of me and has plagued IU way even since we had Trace Jackson Davis. Trace was well known to cause this as well, but missed layups. The layups missing in this was just horrendous. We went 13 for 27 from on layups, and that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. Those easy ones are not going to do it. Not to mention missing the free throws like we did. Leal himself missing the front end of 2 1-and-1s in the second half that were very detrimental in that time period. Last 8 minutes of the previous game that IU played Oregon, we scored 5 points. In the last 7.5 minutes in this game, IU scored 5 points. So, like I said at the top, very mirror images of each other in this game. And it's just, this offense needs to find something other than Trey coming around those screens and getting those going, because it was the only type of offense that IU was able to find in this game, other than, I would say, Mackenzie Mbako. Because at the beginning of the game, he was going 3 for 3. He was making his shots. He was being that outside threat. He was doing what you need that wing defender to do when Trey Galloway is doing what he's doing. Be that extra threat to draw guys away. Be that extra outlet pass for Trey to go to when the basket's not there, when the lob isn't there, something for him to pass off to and find. That was not that. That was not there for this team. So that's a struggle, and it started to be there with McKenzie. And as we've said in past shows, McKenzie's worth is only on offense is only as good as what his detriment you can soak up on defense, and he's been great for that. He's been doing a great job with that towards the back end of this season. Unfortunately, in this game, it was the fouls that did it for him, and it's that horrible 2-foul benching style that ends up happening in a lot of games that kind of screwed him on this one, where Woodson took him out after those 2 fouls, despite him being the 3-and-3 and the only one outside of Trey Galloway and our big that was scoring in the first half. So you're pigeonholing him, IU at that point. Similar thing happened in the second half where he got taken out and was the only threat overall for IU. But again, Trey Galloway, no argument for his effort and his fight out there. And he played like a kid that has loved wearing the candy stripes, who's loved wearing that Indiana jersey throughout the year and was not ready to take it off and wants to fight to still win. And it's been great to see. He was 15 points in this game, 6 for 18, 2 for 6 from 3 with 9 assists. Again, almost a double-double. The guard double-double in this game, and I give it up to him. He's been giving as much as he can. I can only imagine how exhausted he is with all the work he's been doing, and very little help outside of that. Anyone else kind of really shouldering some of this offensive responsibility for him. And it's tough because I think this was a game where, like I said, McKenzie was able to give him a little bit of a threat. But you got just 1 point from Luke Goody. It was not a game for Luke. Went 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, made 1 free throw. That was all of his scoring in this game. And he was just kind of a non-factor to a degree. Sure, he was hustling out there and going after rebounds and the usual things that he does, but just 3 rebounds on the game. So tough when you're getting that kind of minutes that he got with 33, whereas opposed McKenzie, who was in foul trouble like he was, foul trouble, I'll use quotations for that, gets 10 minutes left, but is the highest in plus minus for IU. So yeah, really not what you want to see. And Anthony Leal, I think, gave the usual Anthony Leal effort. It was 4 points, 2 for 3, missed 2 free throws. Those 2 very important front ends. Was big on the rebounds though. 8 rebounds in this game, was tied with Ballo as far as rebounds in 31 minutes of play. I think it's just a team that's getting tired. That we've shortened the bench at the end of this season, and those guys that are still in there that have been fighting through that shorter rotation of 6 guys or so is getting tired. We're having to rely on them a lot more and giving them a lot more minutes, and it's just not producing the outcomes now as things start to slow down for them. I will say I do think the defense has come around a little bit more. Overall, I thought they did a good job compared to the rest of the season. Yeah, there was times where Oregon players got some open threes off of bad rotations, but they were good disruptive moments as well that led to bad possessions for them that a few times, honestly, were just finished by shots that were just ridiculously made by like Shellstad. What a ridiculous good player he is. He made some really good shots at the end of the game. So at the end of possessions, I should say. The D did a good job of limiting their best player, Biddle, though, just scoring 7 points, only made 1 field goal. So really disrupted him around the rim. Made that 1 3 on Ballo just not coming out to him to guard him on that 3. not knowing, I guess, the scouting report, or forgetting the scouting report at that point, to not go out because he can make those, and 2 free throws. So at least good job on him. Good job limiting his game and everything like that. It was the guys around him, Bamba and Shellstad, that just went off. And IU couldn't handle. IU going with that smaller lineup for the most part in this game, and they kind of run a little bit bigger of a 4 that was able to just kind of bully Luke Goody underneath. They took advantage of that a good amount in this game. Renew, I will at least say, had a really good second half. I liked what he was able to produce for IU in that second half. He had, let me bring up his stats real quick. 19 points, leading scorer for IU overall in this game, 8 for 15. Counted for a lot of those missed layups. Did take a 3 in this. Looked kind of good. It was, again, I've said that. I said that throughout the year. I kind of went away from saying that, but I've never minded him taking at least 1 or 2 in the game. Made all of his free throws. So relatively good stat line for him. The one thing that's little lacking in his stat line would be his rebounds. Only 3 rebounds in this game, but 1 assist, one turnover. So not a terrible game for him. Not the he was the big that needed to be out there the most for IU, especially in the second half. Like I said, 12 of his points came in the second half. So that was where he was able to really contribute for IU and trying to get us back when we clawed back those few times. But it just continues to be a team that offensively, as you see things starting to claw back and you see the team start to make a run, suddenly we forget how to play offense. Suddenly we forget what it is to rotate around and get into some sort of rhythm, what a screen is, how to get the ball into the paint. It looks lost for some reason on some of those possessions. And again, this game's just kind of the microcosm or the summation of the season, where we've had windows of good play and good fight and good effort, and then times where things just fall apart. I think the only thing missing from this game, to summarize the whole season, was the defense was better overall, and a complete shutdown or lost men and over hedging or any of those things that we've seen from a game overall. And look, I complain all this and I say all this because it was a very important game for IU, obviously, for its tournament chances and everything. And I will at least say that it's a lot better than what we had over a month ago. I mean, you rewind back to those shows; those were tough to get up and talk about. This one was tough, but it wasn't as tough as it was to get up and talk here about this game with you guys. We've had worse games. We've had worse times in this season. So I guess I'm trying to look on the sunny side as much as possible. But it's tough to be in this kind of balanced area. And we kind of being teased about whether we're in or not. I mean, we really hoped, if we even track back all the way to earlier in this season, it was that Oregon game. Had we closed out the previous Oregon game a little bit better, we'd feel a lot better about our chances now in this season, about where we are and where we can be moving forward with the tournament standings. But now we sit on this balance where I would put IU's chances right now of if I had to put a percentage on it, I would probably put their chances of making the tournament to about 60%. I don't think it's quite a coin flip. Texas winning yesterday didn't help. That's kind of what lowered it for me. I think I was probably about 75% before that Texas win. But I think we're about at a 60% chance, I would say. We're most likely in the play-in game, I would say as well. I think it's something that, as it's been said on other shows, I would get a bid possibly to some other tournament or NIT or the other one that's going on. I don't think they should do that. I don't think they should take it. I think it's the way things have been, the way since Woody's stepping aside. You just call it from there. It's weird. It's interesting. Bison brings an interesting question to the chat. Is this a burn it down, let everyone transfer and move on position? I think that's an interesting one. I think I would be myself. I would be more inclined to say to that is it depends. And I think where it depends is it depends on who the next coach is and what he's looking for. Now, if you want to play the hypothetical and say, if I was the coach, you don't want me as the coach. I don't want that smoke. I'll take that paycheck, but I don't want that smoke. Who would I look to keep that's on this roster? Honestly, there was a lot of talk as well about Luke Goody, and he mentioned that he's going to try to apply for his hardship. Because again, he's about, as Bison, I think you said, or you found, he's about 20 minutes past the allowed minutes for that hardship or injury redshirt approval process. Now, you find lawyers, there's lots of guys in those situations that have been able to argue and get their way out. I think more often than not, guys are granted that, but obviously it's not a sure thing. Probably similar chances for him getting that is I use chances in the tournament. So there's a mirror right there. So anyways, I think I would take Goody. I would take Goody. Now, I don't, in regards to how he's having to play this year, he's having to play a much bigger role than he necessarily should. But I like Goody from the sense of a culture setter, as a senior leader, as someone with experience, as someone that can be just a role player. I think he can be utilized a lot better. I think there were times in games where we saw he was utilized better. Leal utilized him fantastically in the kind of Watford move, I would call it, on fast breaks, where he'd be leading him and then he'd just do that little kind of shovel pass back to him to make a three. Or just being, again, that outlet on the outside. But I like his leadership. I like his talking. I like what he brings from being an Indiana guy. I know that gets overinflated and we get made fun of for that situation, but I like that fact about him. The other one, I think I would say Gritty kind of said it, keep Malik. That's an interesting one. Because again, he's that weird size for a big in the Big Ten against other bigs. I maybe would, because I'd be very interested to see what else I could bring out of him and how I could utilize him. Again, I think it's been a little too much of Woodson not focusing on guard scoring as much as big scoring. So I think if he's more in a complementary role to an offense that is more balanced, then I think that could be very good. So yeah, I would keep him as well. I know it feels weird to talk about any other guys. I mean, Cups, he's a good guy, another culture guy that you keep. I don't think necessarily make the starting lineup or anything like that, but I think he's another good worker and everything like that. And could be someone that in his fourth year, and I hate to make this comparison, but could be a Braden Smith type of guy in year 4. So that's an interesting one to keep. And obviously with his medical situation, he would get a 5th year. So you've basically got 3 years for Cups. So I would test that water as well. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. It's a very interesting hypothetical, Bison. Thank you for bringing that forward. The other thing I did want to kind of bring up and discuss on this show, as it's always brought up during these coaching changes. It's always brought up towards the end of the season, it feels like. But Ballo, when asked in the post game, talked about just social media and that pressure and hearing bad things and getting DMs and all of that pressure for 5 months and how wearing it is and all that stuff. And I don't fully take a kind of boo-hoo stance on that, as many will say. And I know you get that kind of response to that of people, especially in the NIL world right now, like you're making 6 figures plus. This is something you get to shoulder to, boo-hoo, kind of thing. I'm not fully into that. I got a hint of that. I probably have a hint of that. Like I'll take 6 figures to play a sport, and then all I have to do is turn off my DMs and not pay attention on social media. Sure, I'll take that. I'll shoulder that every day. That's woo, I'll take that. Bring that heat to me. But obviously, what is going on and what people are saying, I don't condone that at all. No one in our fan base should be doing that. And I still argue the case that it's not completely all our fan base. I would not be surprised if some of that is coming from little brother up north. I mean, what better thing to do when your rivalry is on thin ice and is looking to hire a new coach than go on and pose as a fan of that team and spread cancerous comments all over the fan base. What a better way to do a better thing to do to your rival. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Now I don't think that's all of it. Obviously, there is going to be some people that are just that way. There are idiots everywhere. I've had idiot moments. You've had idiot moments. We've all had things that we've said, posted, or done in the heat of the moment that we regret. And it's about being a bigger person and seeing when we're wrong, and we have those moments to apologize that and take it back. Try to take it back. Obviously, you can't take things back like that, but just learn and be better with that. But again, I'm hard off to believe that that's not the majority. Obviously, of the fan base. We're a huge fan base, and so you're gonna have idiots. You're going to have morons, and to people like Ballo and things like that, players, I say, ignore the idiots. They're idiots. That's all you got to say. Look at what you got. Look at how that was pretty much a home game. Look at how much there were so many Hoosiers there. Obviously, Indy's a hotbed of IU alums and just IU fans, period. So you're going to have that. And you can see that all that love and all that support that you get when you travel and playing at home to a majority packed arena compared to look at a lot of the West Coast teams. Look at a lot of the teams that are more football focused. They have such a small percentage of support compared to what Indiana gets. So obviously some of that noise, some of that bad stuff, it's going to feel a little bit more amplified just by the rules of ratio and the odds of it all. So if I could, I'd give Ballo a big hug and say, who gives a shit? Brush that off. Let's go have a steak dinner kind of thing. So I don't know. That's a tough one. And it's like I said, yeah, it's a big lesson to learn for these kids, as Gritty says. But something that shouldn't have. Anyways, very interesting spot. Very interesting spot we are here in as Hoosier Nation. It's it's middle of March. Selection Sunday is on Sunday. Here we are yet again, watching it with bated breath. Here comes the hope from Jad. I hope that in the future, I never have to feel like this, that these selection Sundays become something of a I wonder what seed we're going to get. I wonder if we're a 5 this year or if we're a 6. This was a good year. Maybe we're a 3. I look forward to more consistency like that. And it hasn't been. It hasn't been for too long. And it's getting lost in the generations now at this point. And I look forward to us riding this ship and finding greener pastures, crimson crops on the horizon for IU. And we'll see. Selection Sunday, again, I think it's slightly better than a flip of the coin. Pay attention to things as they go. I think what UNC does and everything has a factor. I wouldn't be surprised if I had to put hedges on it right now. If I had to put money down, I would say we're in, but I say we're in a play-in game. That's where I will say. So I say good luck to us. We will see what happens. And programming note-wise, that will be what decides if this is our third to last or second to last show of Hoosier Morning After for this season. Because if there isn't obviously any tournament games, we won't have any post-game talks like this. But Martha and I have talked a little bit, and we will probably do one after the coach is announced. We'll maybe kind of do a quick reaction to that. Obviously, may not have as many stats compared about this coach. We'll try to drum up as much as we can do to kind of preview and just give our general thoughts on the new coaching hire. So that's at least hopeful. That's at least something to look forward on the horizon. In under a month, IU should have a new coach. So we'll see what that is. Until then, guys, I think that's it. That's all I can give you for this one, because otherwise we're just beating a dead horse again on this show. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you, as always, to Gritty and the Bison there being in the chat. Appreciate the question, Bison. We'll be back again, whether it is to watch and react to a tournament game or it is to react to a new coach. We will see you then. Martha and I will be there, excited either way to talk our favorite thing in the world, which is IU basketball. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. There you can find out more information about the show, when we're going to go live, and some of my witty and fun comments to things as we go along. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on the YouTube. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again. Until then, go out there, have yourself a wonderful day, and let's go Hoosiers.